Everyone, and thank you for joining us in this session on youth transforming world food systems. My name is Beatrice, and I will be moderating this session, and I work for the FAO Investment Center. First of all, I would like to welcome you and ask if you could please switch on your cameras so that we feel like we're more connected if you can. So this event is being held in the context of a partnership between the European Union, FAO, CIRAD, governments and stakeholders to conduct a large-scale assessment and consultation on food systems in more than 50 countries. One of the key findings of the assessment is that in many countries, youth are leaving agriculture and food production because of lack of economic opportunities. Today, we have a very powerful session led by young actors who are active on the ground, helping to transform food systems in their countries. Over the next hour, you will hear from Huyu Uyang, who's just here. He is one of the World Food Forum champions. We then have Puja, who is a budding food economist associated with the FAO Investment Center. We are very excited to have with us innovators from across the globe. We'll hear their inspiring stories in the panel discussion. You will then have the opportunity to have questions. Through their inspiring stories, we can learn about contributing to sustainable food systems from agriculture and clean forms of production to secure food distribution and through innovative actions. We will also learn about how we can make more conducive environment for youth to engage in sustainable food systems transformation. To make the opening remarks, we have the pleasure of having with us one of the World Food Forum champions, Huyu Uyang. Huyu is a food policy officer at the Good Food Fund, a China Biodiversity Conservation and Green Development Foundation. There he leads the Well-Being Ecology Transformation Market Project, which aims at improving urban food environment and governance. As youth chair, he also led the China Action Hub for the United Nations Food Systems Summit Action Track 2, which for those of you who don't know, it consists of shifting to sustainable food systems, food consumption patterns. Huyu, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Beatrice, for a kind introduction. Dear friends, good morning and good afternoon. Greetings from Beijing, China. To achieve the 2030 agenda, we have only 9 harvests left. Youth is the power, the engine for transforming to sustainable food systems. For the past over half a year, I came together with 30 youth leaders from across the globe in a movement called Act for Food, Act for Change, a global campaign bringing 100,000 youth signatures to the United Nations Food System Summit. We have also listed 17 actions for change, just to name a few: sustainable farming, food education, plant-based diets, and many more will bring hope. Revolving around the 17 actions, many dialogues are convened across borders, and we have identified several key challenges, which are pretty in line with the findings from the food systems assessment in many countries. For instance, the average age of farmers is going up. In Kenya, the average is 50 and they're women. In Ireland, the average is 60 and they're men. In China, we witness the similar trend that for young people choosing a career in food systems seems like going backwards. Most young people are ushering to urban areas to chase their success in more glamorous industries. However, the young people are increasingly suffering from overweight, obesity, diabetes, and other non-communicable diseases associated with bad eating habits. It is important to keep the youth engaged in agriculture and food systems, capitalize the opportunity to create a dynamic food system. Energetic young minds can bring new technologies and innovations to address the challenges and align better with the emerging market requirements. Rural as well as urban youth are aware of the use of smartphones, apps, social media. This represents a great opportunity for learning about how new technology innovations across the globe and for communicating their knowledge and success to inspire others. And I think the very first step to change is the mindset that farmers are not only the people who are producing our food, but also who are fixing our broken food systems, managing the natural basis that we all live on, and safeguarding people's well-being. Last week, I visited an organic farm started by a number of like-minded youth into a China community-supported agriculture network. They also developed a series of CSA training courses to build up the capacities of young farmers. The network has incubated over 100 organic producers and nearly 200 agricultural products. 55 young trainees started their organic farms upon the completion of the training. I was so inspired. Those young people, many at my age or even younger than me, are not only from rural background, but also urban youth who are investing in innovative models for farming. And I know many examples from across globe exist. We have an exciting lineup for today's panel discussion, and we will meet a few such innovators today. It is important to capitalize on this young energy. It is a win-win situation that helps to address the issue of unemployment and hopelessness while gainfully engaging the youth in advancing the food system. Entry into this area might not be easy, but the governments, national and international agencies can focus on creating a conducive environment through mentoring, exposure to technologies, organizing knowledge exchange programs for continued learning, credit linkages, and etc. From our speakers today, we can learn about the achievements as well as the challenges they face to provide insights to create a more encouraging environment. So I really look forward to learning from your discussions, and I'll stop here and give the floor back to Beatrice. Thank you again for having me here in this great event. Thank you.
Thank you, Huyo, for agreeing to speak to us and for these interesting remarks. And to the panel, I also wish to thank you again for being here, and we really like to interact with you. Would like you, if you have some questions, please keep the chat going and put all your thoughts and questions in the chat. And also, please you can write in the chat by introducing yourselves and telling us where you're from, because I know everyone is from very different locations. So now I will pass the floor to my colleague and our co-facilitator during the upcoming panel discussion, who is Puja Klosla. She is an economist in the FAO Investment Center and has been involved in the food systems assessment in several countries from Asia, Africa, Middle East, and the Caribbean. Puja holds a master's degree in development economics from the University of Oxford and is pursuing her PhD in economics from the University of Virginia. Puja, over to you.
Perfect. You can see my screen, right? Okay, thank you.
Yes, we can.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Welcome to our side event. I will be now presenting a brief introduction to the food system assessment. But before I begin, I want to introduce the concept of food systems. Most of us think of production when we think of food systems, but food systems is a much larger concept. It is not only limited to production, but it concerns the way our food is processed, transported, distributed, consumed. Waste management is a huge issue in a lot of countries. Food loss throughout the value chain and how our food is eventually disposed of is also part of the food system. It includes all the people involved in all of these activities, as well as the social and natural environment in which we all operate. You know, we all as consumers are also part of the food system. We want our food systems to achieve 4 key goals: to ensure food security, nutrition, and health for all, ensure decent livelihoods and jobs for all, equity and territorial balance, and do so in a way that preserves the ecosystems, the natural resources, and limits the impact on climate change. But in 2019, an alarm was raised by the joint EU FAO and CIRAD report, Food Systems at Risk. It highlighted that our food systems are unable to feed the growing population in a nutritious and healthy manner. Did you know that 1 in 5 global deaths are actually related to people's diets? People's consumption patterns are changing, and there is an increase in the incidence of diabetes, hypertension, and cardiovascular diseases. The share of youth population is increasing, especially in developing countries. In Somalia, for instance, 65% of the population is below the age of 35. Creating decent employment opportunities for the youth has become a priority in many countries in order to take advantage of this demographic dividend. The agri-food systems are critical for job creation, not just in agriculture, but also in industry in terms of processing as well as services. Yet, we find that youth and women are increasingly excluded from this sector. Further, there are inequities across different regions. These are particularly evident as we look at urban and rural regions within the country. These have in turn triggered a rapid urbanization. In Mongolia, for instance, 70% of the population is now residing in urban areas. Lastly, agri-food systems account for 20 to 30% of GHG emissions and are contributing to the negative effects of climate change. In order to ensure sustainability of our food systems, and in order to meet the SDG goals, we need to act and act fast. So it was in this context, building on the methodology developed by EU, FAO, and CIRAD, that a rapid food system assessment is being carried out in over 50 countries. More details on the approach can be made available if you're interested, but I just want to highlight that this is a very consultative process, which involves working closely with national governments, the EU delegation, FAO representations, and includes inputs from a diverse set of stakeholders from the public sector, private sector, as well as civil society organizations. Food systems is a new concept. With the UN food system dialogues happening in parallel, the key objective was to sensitize stakeholders and jointly raise awareness about the food systems. In each country, about 50 to 100 stakeholders were involved during the process. In some countries, data and evidence gathered as part of the assessment also fed into the national dialogue process. Our goal is to initiate a conversation with food system actors and develop a shared understanding of the key food system challenges as well as opportunities. This exercise is not an end, but just a stepping stone, which would lead to more refined analysis and guide innovative policies and investment agendas down the road. So the results from our assessment show that in most countries, youth are leaving agriculture. The aspirations of young people are changing. Today's youth do not see a future in agriculture. They associate farming with hard labor, low returns, and are increasingly migrating to urban cities in search of better future. Now, this is a particularly challenging trend because older farmers are less likely to adopt new technologies that are needed to feed the growing population of the world in a sustainable manner. This could have implications for future food security, youth unemployment, political stability. There is thus an urgent need to strengthen the appeal of agriculture and agri-food sector to the young people and to promote their capacities to innovate and generate more incomes. Whether as entrepreneurs or as farmers, youth have the power to transform the food systems. Innovative approaches have been introduced to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, implement organic farming, climate smart technologies. Other innovative practices and technologies, including new uses of data, knowledge sharing platforms, are particularly relevant in this regard. For example, in recent years, we have seen development of various mobile apps, artificial intelligence, and ICT technologies, which have helped improve market efficiency, reduce losses, and increase returns to working in the agri-food sector. However, there are still barriers to accessing land, finance, productive resources, technology, which have limited the participation of youth in food systems. Let us hear now from our 4 panelists about their experiences working and innovating in the food system in their communities. Thank you. Before I move on, we would like to do a quick poll, and I would request my colleague Diana to share the link in the chat. Thank you, Diana.
Yes, so thank you all. The link is in the chat, so you can please go there and vote, and you will see the results in live, basically. So you have 30 minutes, you can go there. There's a question. What have the largest young population ever in the world? So what you can share your thoughts, and that will tell you the right answer. I think there is a timing, so maybe we can wait 30 minutes for everyone to vote. Now, Diana, please open the voting because it's yes. So, all right. Can see, and then everyone can now vote. So while we vote, maybe I'll go ahead and introduce a wonderful panelist, and then we'll get the results after. So I'm happy, so thank you, Puja, again. So now we move to the part of the session that you have been waiting for, which is hearing from our young innovators. Our first panelist is Cine Simba. She's a food processing engineer, co-founder and CEO of Le Lionceau, which is a company that specializes in the production of food for babies in Senegal. She's also an ambassador for the first 1,000 days of a child. Then we have Gilbert Mwale. He's the co-founder of an agricultural e-commerce company called Insika in Zambia. The company is an online agriculture marketplace that helps farmers and agro dealers to rural and peri-urban areas to find, buy, and receive farm inputs from a variety of suppliers. Via another online platform, the company also provides farming advisory services. Gilbert is also a part-time lecturer at the University of Lusaka. Then we have Dr. Ibn Ali, who is a young and dynamic veterinarian dedicated to supporting young people engaged in livestock activities in India and across the globe. Through his social media presence, his messages from Ali's veterinary wisdom provide input and advice on technical aspects of livestock and poultry farm management to farmers and entrepreneurs, earning him a large number of followers. Last but not least, we have Jarval McLean. He's a farmer who defines himself as the son, grandson, and nephew of farmers. Having honed the skills for farming from his family, Jarval has, for the past 16 years, been growing cash crops on his 2.5-acre farm. Today, at only 28 years old, he is the president of the Cascade Farmers Association in Jamaica. Puja, over to you for the results of the poll and then for the panel discussion. Thank you.
Thank you. Diana, could you quickly maybe share your screen with the results?
Sure, just a second.
Thank you. So most of you actually got it right. The population of people between the ages of 10 to 24 is actually close to 1.8 billion. And that basically means that almost 1 in 4 people in the world are in this age group, which means there is a potential or a huge opportunity to take advantage of this youth dividend. Thank you, Diana. So I will begin the panel discussion now, and I would like to welcome all our panelists. I'll start with Cine. Cine, you're here with us? Okay, hi. Could you tell us a little bit more about this 1,000 Days of a Child campaign and the work that you're doing in Senegal and the kind of impact you're seeing in the community?
Okay, well, thank you. Good morning, everyone. I'm very happy to join you as a panelist My name is Cine. I'm from Senegal, and I'm the co-founder and the CEO of the company Le Lionceau, which is the first company in Senegal specialized in baby food. Well, we decided to create this company Le Lionceau because we see that there is a gap between the production of smallholder farmers in the market of baby food. Currently, in this market, 1%, 100% of the produce of baby food is from imported products. And we have a lot of farm losses. For example, 50% of the production of mangoes is lost in the field. And we have also a problem in the information in the nutritional way, almost the first 1,000 days of a child. So we decided, why not valorize this baby food, this local food, to transform them and to provide in this market highly nutritional baby food made from local owned products. So this is why we decided to create Le Lionceau to revolutionize the baby food sector with a more inclusive and sustainable approach that improves people's lives because we sourced and transformed locally baby food purees, and it will help us to strengthen the food value chain by collaborating with local farmers, which will help them to have significant revenues and to reduce their losses. And in the other side, to improve the nutritional status of babies through highly nutritional products.
Thank you. This is incredible, Cine. Even in our work in countries like Lao PDR, Jamaica, the Gambia, Somalia, we've seen that due to reasons such as lack of awareness, maternity leave policies, or cultural norms, the duration of breastfeeding is very little with, poor infant feeding practices. And entrepreneurs such as yourself coming up with innovative products like these can make a big difference and in overcoming nutrition deficiencies in early childhood and even at later stages. Thank you so much. I'd like to move now to our next panelist, Gilbert. Gilbert, could you tell us more about the e-commerce platform IMSICA and the kind of changes that you're seeing in the food sector in Zambia?
Hi, Puja. Thank you very much. And hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us. And firstly, I would like to say that as IMSICA, we believe that no farmer, no food. And particularly because of that, as IMSICA, we are an agri-tech company, and our simple role is to simply digitize processes and activities in the agricultural space. And to do that, we've been able to actually firstly solve the problem of poor access to farm inputs using our online e-commerce marketplace, where we have brought on board multiple suppliers and manufacturers of farm inputs. This is in the range of seed, agrochemicals, machinery and equipment, and they are able to actually open up e-stores and sell to farmers across the country. This was brought up because 90% of the suppliers of agricultural inputs in Zambia are based in the capital city, causing those outside and in remote and peri-urban areas struggle to find and buy agricultural inputs, therefore losing valuable time and money as well, and also being constrained from actually accessing a diversified pool of agricultural inputs that they would need. Now, we all know that if you are going to have a diversified food plate, you will definitely need to also have a diversified production of food in your area to make it even more cost effective. The second problem that we also noticed is the problem of poor access to farming advisory services. So with that, we created an e-learning portal, and this was brought up quite strongly during the time of the COVID-19 pandemic when it was ravaging the nation. And farmers and the trainers from and agronomists and veterinary service providers from different suppliers could not go out and meet farmers physically. What we therefore did is that we provided a platform where they could provide their trainings as well as also other peer farmers who are highly experienced could also provide their trainings to other small-scale farmers, therefore bridging the gap between farmers and knowledge that they actually need. The other issue we also were able to solve as a digital solution provider is a traceability issue. And with the traceability, from here, we were able to provide traceability from farm gate to retail for different agribusinesses. This includes companies like aggregators, also off-takers, and such kind of companies. With this, we've been able to actually impact small-scale farmers in different ways. For the e-commerce, we have been able to provide diversified input access. We have also helped them reduce acquisition cost by about 40 to 50% on their costs, while also being able to help them continue buying farm inputs for agro retailers while they are still selling in their shops, which means that they're not losing any money at any point, and also helping farmers keep time for their families, as well as also continue being productive on their farms while doing the production. Lastly, on the e-learning, farmers have been able to learn on how to farm as a business, because our goal there is to teach them on issues to do with bookkeeping, financials, because we have learned that most of the farmers are struggling to access credit because they do not keep their records straight. And lastly, for the agri-RP, clearly their traceability has become one of the biggest issues for different off-takers. And we provide that with the technology that we are building. Thank you very much, Puja.
Thank you so much, Gilbert. Again, this is incredible work. And, you mentioned this diversification issue. And, in the work that we're also doing, we see that a lot of countries are focused on producing cereals. So be it, maize in Zambia or rice in Lao PDR, and, encouraging farmers to adopt more profitable crops, especially like horticulture or livestock, could actually, increase farmers' incomes and improve the dietary diversity, overcoming the micronutrient deficiency challenges that, we're seeing in so many different countries. And your platform with its advisory services is doing that. And combined with that, it's providing, farmers with access to inputs, markets, and entrepreneurs such as yourself can, transform the food sector. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Moving next to Dr. Ibn Ali. Ibn, could you tell us more about your YouTube channel, Ali's Veterinary Wisdom, and the experience working with young entrepreneurs in India?
Thank you for introducing me. A very good afternoon to all of you. And thank you for inviting me to this prestigious forum to share my work experience with you. By profession, I'm a veterinarian and working independently in the field of animal-based food production systems for last 7 years. Initially, I started my work as a technical manager in one large corporate poultry company in India, where my job was to visit farmers who were facing difficulties in production and assist them to overcome those problems by prescribing our company's medicine. Basically, my work was sales and techno-commercial role. Soon I realized the fact that most of the engaged people were poor marginal farmers who didn't have many resources to sustain their farming businesses. They often face losses due to reasons that could be easily avoided. So I felt that they need education rather than medicines. Because most of the problems were encountered in the field could be easily avoided through correction of management practices, proper hygiene, biosecurity measures, and all these things. So, and as we know that in commercial settings, these animals which we are using in the animal production systems are highly genetically advanced, and they cannot be reared with the traditional practices, traditional knowledge. They need farmers need scientific approach for that. And when they do not follow the scientific approach, their animal gets sick and disease will become more, and they start using antibiotics and drugs and medicines in their animals. So so this was the major issue with the farmers. So my thought was to educate farmers to reduce their dependency on the medicines, especially on the antibiotics, and to increase their productivity. So by doing that thing, I could not only help them to stand in business, but also provide opportunities to grow their farming business, because many people who faces the mortality in the flocks usually left the farming, especially the youth. So I decided to support them. So that due to that reason, I left my job and start educating the farmer in the hope to change their life. At that time, reach when I was started my early veterinary wisdom forum, the reach of internet was increasing in India, and even the remotest villages have the internet. People, farmers start using YouTube channel and using WhatsApp. So that was the advantage for me, and I decided to found some communication channel. So that I founded my YouTube channel, and start producing videos on different frequently asked questions and the reasons why the farms and these establishments get failed. So that's how my forum and my education platform was formed. And as far as impact of my work on the society and community is there, I think in today's food supply chain, the food is coming from two different groups. First group is technologically very advanced group, having huge capital and good technical know-how of animal food production system. Due to these advantages, their production is highly efficient and produce is cheap. Therefore, their product are highly competitive in the market. On the other hand, second group is of poor marginal farmers who do not have access to all the technology and scientific support. They are exposed to higher risk due to disease and imbalanced nutrition. Therefore, they are less competitive in the market, and this group is very vulnerable economically. So, my work is to support these youth and farmers who do not have technological and scientific know-how of the animal production system. So thereby supporting them, I'm helping to reduce the greenhouse gases from the ruminants, cows, by balancing their ration, their feed, and reduce antibiotic use by advising them proper biosecurity measures and all these things. So this is my work in short.
Thank you, Ibni. This is really interesting. And, in our assessments also, what we found is that lack of extension services and information is one of the key bottlenecks preventing the youth from participating in agri-food sector. And, especially in rural and remote areas, be it, Bhutan with its scattered and fragmented farms. In Uganda, less than 15% of farmers are receiving extension services. In countries like Mongolia, with the lowest population density in the world, extension service agents are just not able to reach these scattered livestock herders. And as a result, as you were mentioning, there is a high and indiscriminate use of antibiotics, agrochemicals, which have effects on food safety and export potential. And I think with today's digital age, increasing internet penetration in most developing countries, like channels such as yours, mobile applications have the potential to reduce this information asymmetry and change the food sector completely. Thank you so much. Moving to Jarval. Jarval, can you tell us a little bit more about your experience as the president of the Cascade Farmers Association and the kind of impacts that you're seeing in the youth community in Jamaica?
Okay, thank you very much for having me, Puja. As you mentioned, my name is Jarval McLean, the president for the Cascade Farmers Association. It is a pleasure representing Jamaica, and it is also a pleasure being the president for the Cascade Farmers Group. And I find it fun advocating for farmers and young people in general. It's always a fun. And being the president, I have my goals, and we all have our goals of reaching and visions and our mission. And one of our goals is to increase productivity and competence efficiency, increase access to support, information, capital, and technology in agriculture. We also focus on access to farm lands and access to loans and equipments. And in this climate change, we having a bit of a rough time, but we are getting through it, where NGOs would come in and they would share their part, let us know the importance of farming. If we don't farm, we don't eat, and they are there to provide for people, as well as government agencies. They would come in and they would educate us on what to do and how to do. Where some impacts now that we implement is the we bring benefits to members, and some of the benefits are like by educating and assisting farmers with farm supplies, promote production, enhance productivity, increase income. And one of the way we increase income is by agribusiness. A lot of small business owners now, they are starting up their seed stores, and local seed store in the rural areas. And another increase of income is the direct market, where instead of having the middleman to buy it from us as farmers and bring it to the hotels, supermarkets, or restaurants, we have a direct contact now where we just bring it right to the hotels, or they would come to our farm and purchase that. Another thing that we focus on too is getting more young people involved, which the Prime Minister, that is one of his drive, and getting more young people involved in agriculture. And for our Member of Parliament, Minister Xavier Main, with his enthusiasm towards agriculture, it is commendable, and he supports us, and he's very accessible, And with all being said, I want to encourage every young people to continue being a farmer. And if you're not a farmer, I implore you to be a farmer also. It's a very good thing, knowing that we are getting the technology in it now. It is being a bit easier for us, instead of just seeing it as hard as possible. So yeah, that's basically it. And thank you very much again.
Thank you so much, Jarval. And I second that. Sorry.
You're most welcome.
Yes, and as you said, it's time for young people to be part of agriculture, because as you were showing in your work also, there are so many opportunities for benefiting and generating good income and returns also to working in the sector. And Jarval, as a role model young people around you, you've created this dynamic community, and you're kind of encouraging them, those missing linkages with markets, inputs, and showing them that agriculture can be a business opportunity as well. Thank you once again. Now, as we've heard from our panelists, some of the game-changing innovative practices that they have been implementing in the field and changing the agri-food sector. And moving on to the next section of the panel, I would like to ask our panelists about some of the challenges that they have faced on their journeys. And I would start with Cine. Cine, as a young woman entrepreneur in Senegal, could you tell us a little bit about some of the challenges that you have faced in your work?
Thank you, Puja. Well, as a food processing engineer, we face different challenges in all the food value chain that we are working in. but I would like to highlight just two of them. The first one is related to our raw material supplies. Like we are a baby foods company, we have a very strict specifications for the raw material. It's important for us to know how there was grown, and to see that if farmers can provide us, for example, fruit with high stage of ripeness, and it will be very helpful for us, because in our production we make baby food with no added sugar or no added salt, to accustom children to the natural taste of baby food at the early stage. So it's very important to have access to a raw material in quantity and in quality with no chemical residues. And the other point is the scaling up, because right now we are facing this challenge. For example, six months before, we were less than 10% who was working in this company, and now we are more than 20% working here. And in terms of production, 6 months before also, we were producing almost 2,000 jars per month, and now we are producing more than 15,000 jars. And to make all this production, it is very challenging right now, because we can't satisfy more than 60% of our orders. So we have to have more facilities which can allow us to produce like we want. And actually we are in the stage where we have to change from the semi-industrial stage to go to industrial stage. And for this, we need to have our own factory, which can meet all the compliance in terms of quality and HACCP in terms of baby food. So it is very difficult, because we have right now the objective to answer to the demand, but the problem is that we have also to plan, to follow and to build a factory in the same way. So it is a little bit difficult for us.
Thank you, Cine. Moving on to Gilbert. Gilbert, could you tell us some of the main obstacles that you faced as you started your company?
Yes, please. Thank you very much, Puja. I appreciate. And just to quickly take note of, from the many challenges that we've definitely faced along our way, I would like to indicate firstly, the first one, which is, internally for as a company in Zambia, that, has been started up by young people and is growing, with the youth within it. We started out with 2 people, me and my partner, and we've been able to grow the team to now have close to about 15 people, and each one, a majority of them, I think 90% of them are under the age of 35. And that is something that is interesting. But what you also see as well is a situation where we also have had challenges, with finding great mentors, people that understand, how e-commerce and also, more things on how distribution works. So we've been able to have challenges, I think, in the earlier stages of our business in actually distribution. And now that is getting better, because we've been able to access 1 or 2 people that could be able to assist. But we feel that, this is something that, could do so well for young businesses when they also work with, with high level mentors that have been able to be in this space in other markets as well, that can be able to provide that level of understanding and mentorship, for them to be able to thrive. And the second issue for us that we have experienced is what is a knowledge gap for the farmers in rural areas and peri-urban areas in relation to using digital solutions. We see a situation where most of them, because they have have lacked, have been illiterate, and others, some of them are illiterate, and some of them lack internet infrastructure, and others, lack gadgets, smartphones. What you then see is a situation where there has been a level of discrepancy in the nature in which they adopt different information that we share with them. So that then trickles down to a third challenge, which is in relation to lack of gadgets. In trying to solve this problem, we looked around and introduced what we call lead agents or lead farmer agents, and a majority of them, our criteria is to choose those ones who have the ability to help their fellow villagers or fellow rural community members. You see, because I'll give an example of myself, that my relatives, some of them live in villages, and what happens is that in the village where they are, there's roughly about maybe 10 to 15 people in the same village, and at least one of them usually has a phone. And what we have thought of is that if that individual is the one that provides, the connectivity between the whole entire village and the services that MCIRAD provides, then we are safe. But the challenge that comes in is that sometimes the kind of phone or kind of gadget that they are using does not provide them full ability to access all the digital solutions that MCIRAD is providing. So these are some of the challenges that we've seen be available out there. And I think the need out there, for most especially for the knowledge gap, is a stronger marketing and awareness, and outreach services outreach activities being done by MCIRAD, much more in the common language that the farmers are using for them to be able to easily understand. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Gilbert. I pass on the question next to Dr. Ibn Ali.
Thank you. Actually, as I have already told you that my major work is to support the farmers. So one of the major challenge which I'm facing in the field is that to let the farmers realize that their traditional practices which they are following are not efficient, are not good, and responsible for the poor health and reduced production of the animals. They basically use the hit and trial methods, age-old methods, to increase the production of their animals, to correct the disease, to treat the disease of livestock and poultry. But they miserably failed and often loses their businesses. The entire enterprise has got lost. So until and unless they face these type of challenges, they do not come to us or follow the practices which we are telling to them. So major thing is that most people do not want to be educated unless they face the problems or losses. So this is the main challenge. And many farmers do not consider the input-output cost, the cost-benefit ratio lying with the agriculture economy. But in spite of that, one encouraging and motivating thing is that the youth from diverse background like engineering and economics is coming into the agriculture, and they are looking for the technical help, the proper scientific approach to start the new ventures. So I am supporting those people. They do not have much credit, they do not have access to much credit, they do not have much capital. So they are innovating type of people and developing new ideas. For example, in India, if you want to start one egg farm, a 10,000 bird layer farm, egg farm, so you need to invest around $50,000 in the infrastructure. But one person is there who is engineer, who is young, around 28 or 30-year-old. He has done that thing in only $10,000 and without affecting any efficiency and all these things. So this is a hope, and we are seeing the light at the end of the tunnel.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Ibn. I pass on the question now to our last panelist, Jarval. Can you tell us some of the challenges that you have encountered working in Jamaica? You're on mute, Jarval.
That's always happened. I'm so sorry. Yeah, as I was saying, thank you very much. We grow food to feed the world, you know. And as a young farmer, I'm very proud of myself, and I'm proud of other young farmers, you know. And our generation has the opportunity to end world hunger and alleviate malnutrition, as well as helping the sector adapt climate change. As I mentioned, climate change, that's one of the main challenges that we are having. The second challenges that I'm having, or we are having, is agriculture image. You know, the perception of agriculture is for the uneducated, and it is classed as unprofitable. We were raised in the urban era where we were taught that farming is to be subsistence and not a business. And what we're trying to do now is to educate the younger ones to see the farming as a business. And one of my solutions for that is to ensure farming to lower the risk of loss. And by doing that, then a lot of people will see that farming is now a business and they can go to the bank and get a loan, you know, because whenever we have a natural disaster and we get a loss and we are waiting on a government agency to step in and assist us, sometimes it takes weeks, months, and that kind of discourage a lot of young farmers, which if the farm was insured, then you know by a certain time they would recompensate us to start back our farm, because they also understand and know the importance of us farming for them to produce to the elderly, to people in general. We can change the direction of farming as young people and encourage our young generation to capitalize on what we are doing now and for the future. And most of us, we we were not taught to read label, which caused us to having a very poor nutrition choice. And one of my solution to that now is that we need to focus on packaging and marketing for healthier food, make it very attractive to young people. Because, for example, if you have a pine in the market, a young person, the first thing they are looking at, if they go and purchase that pine, they would have to peel it. They would have to cut it to eat it. Which if we can package it now, have it on the shelf, they would just go there and purchase it and have it ready done. You know, so that is another thing. And my final challenge is our final challenge is the limited access to financing, and that comes back now to insuring. So if our farm is insured, we have a lower risk of loss, where we are considering more and borrowing to invest in our farming.
Thank you so much, Jarval. I mean, this resonates very well with the kind of findings we've seen from other countries, Bhutan, Sierra Leone, Jamaica. And I would now like to thank our panelists for this very insightful session, and I am opening the floor for questions. I would request the audience, if they want, they can put in their questions in the chat, and we'll take them one by one. And
so, yeah. Puja, there is one question from Monica, and the question is for Cine. that as a young entrepreneur, how were you able to address the issues related to finance and technology? How you were able to address those issues?
Thank you, Monica, for this question. Yeah, it is something very difficult for us right now, and but for the technical part, I have the chance because with my background, I'm a food processing engineer, and I had experience in the baby food sector, the nutrition, infant nutrition sector. So it is very helpful for us. But in the financial way, yeah, it's right now complicated. But we started with our own savings, and after we get some grants which help us to change a little bit our scale. But right now we are exactly in the stage where we have to raise money to build our factory. So we are going to approach some we are searching some financial partner to do this scaling up.
Thank you. So we can have it would be good to hear also from Ibne about some of the financial challenges that you might have faced. And also, as we understand, you're planning to upgrade your work, develop some more apps for which can support the technical aspect. And we already see that you are facing some financial challenges. Any ideas you have how you would address that, or any suggestions or recommendations, from the policy perspective, how those challenges can be addressed for the youth in general? Over to you, Ibne.
Actually, right now, a major challenge is the use of antibiotics in the animal food production system. Especially in India, it is use of antibiotic is very high because easy availability and open availability of these drugs in the market. So whenever animal got sick, farmer runs to buy that thing. If animal do not correct with that, they go to the doctors. So first we need to regulate these type of things. Other thing is that in my personal view, that use of alternate things like probiotics, prebiotics, and organic acid type of things, it have improved the health of the animal very significantly. One cannot imagine the impact of these things. So if we could have the marketing, proper marketing of these type of things, it would have a really great impact on that. And as far as finances are concerned, of course, I am facing not only me, but every agency who is working in this field is facing problems. We do not have credit. We do not, because people do not consider our work as important. So they say, what you are doing, you are not. This is not. I mean, in India or in Indian subcontinent, this work is not much appreciated. What I am doing, but I'm working. This is my motto and aim of my life now, because I left jobs and all these things for this.
Thank you so much, Ibne.
Yes.
We have a question in the audience from Nigoni. I hope I pronounced it correct. So the question is for Gilbert. How have you improved implement distribution from the city center to more remote and rural areas? What measures have you employed, and what is the level of success? Over to you, Gilbert.
Thank you very much. Well, definitely, if you listened to my initial point on challenges, that sat as well as one of the challenges we had, in terms of distribution and all. So what we did is that in our initial phases, we were only working, as a digital solution, and this is also just like everyone else. due to resource constraints. So we had to sit only in the capital city of Zambia, which is Lusaka, put up an online platform, and our only form of communication to farmers out there was through social media platforms, where we advertised ourselves on social media platforms for the first 2 to 3 years. And it meant that we only relied on third-party couriers for the movement of our products from one place to the other. But as we began to move, first of all, our revenues grew, and as well as also we got investment from grants and other partners that seem to be interested in the problems that we are solving. And based on that, what that has done is that we've been able to now set up what we can call lead farmer agents. And with these lead farmer agents, this is allowing us, lead farmer agents are either agro retailers or they are farmers. And we also have a sales regional officer in about 2 or 3 provinces of Zambia. That allows us now to have a clear channel where we communicate with our regional officer, who then communicates with the sales agents, and the sales agents are able to assist the small scale farmers. This allows us now to send information forward, and receive back information. And it is through this very same channel that we are able to also distribute our cultural inputs. We can safely say that the level of success is still being measured, but from our perspective, I think this is more usable and user-friendly, because now we are even capturing farmers who are away from just using social media. Now we can get those who only have the ability to make phone calls or are able to send text messages, which do not need internet, and are still being assisted by their fellow farmers who have access to internet gadgets. It has really helped us, and we plan to make it grow even further. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Gilbert. This is really innovative. I will now pass on the floor to Beatrice.
Yes, thank you, Puja. And in the interest of time, our time has run off. So I wish to thank you all for attending this session, and to thank very much the World Food Forum for hosting us. We hope you have been inspired by the conversation with our young innovators. It has been a great opportunity to inspire the youth to engage in food systems transformation, and to hear about the barriers and create an environment for more youth to join hands for sustainable food systems transformation. Puja, any last words?
Yes, before we end, I would just like to make a call for action. We've been talking about engaging youth in agri-food systems for a long time. It is now time to take concrete actions to help address the challenges that we've seen today and encourage more youth to participate in the agri-food system. Thank you so much.
Thank you all. Goodbye.